The ballot is stronger than the bullet. Abraham Lincoln's sentiment regarding elections exemplifies the power and significance of the presidential election. On November 6, 2012, the 57th presidential election was held. This was a monumental election for myself and my peers, as it was the first election in which we were able to participate. In this speech, I will give a brief overview of this past election, discuss the importance and significance of the election, and the results and after effects of the election. The 2012 election featured Republican Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney running against incumbent Democrat Barack Obama. Many obstacles and issues stood in their way to becoming the next president of the United States. Several of the main issues involved in this election were problems with the state of the country's economy regarding matters such as unemployment numbers, primarily the unemployment rate being around 8%, the national debt and deficit crisis, health care, and foreign policy. Both candidates had to address these issues and propose their solutions to these problems through a series of debates, as is customary of the presidential campaign process. 3 debates were held regarding separate issues such as domestic policy and foreign policy. While the first debate remained fairly civil, the following debates got progressively more heated. During the debates, Governor Romney emphasized the implementation of a 5-point plan to address the country's issues, whereas President Obama campaigned on experience, tax reform, and healthcare issues. When I surveyed my audience, the most important issue to them was that of jobs. This is not unusual considering that my audience is comprised predominantly of college students who will all be seeking full-time employment within the next 2 years. The creation and availability of employment was a decisive element amongst college voters according to CNN. Next, I will discuss the importance and significance of this past election. While every presidential election is important, this election carried a lot of weight for both me and my audience. While 80% of my audience voted in this past election, 70% of them said that they were first-time voters. It is crucial for our nation to have good political efficacy and get the younger generation out to vote, so it is reassuring that a considerable portion of my audience acted on their privilege to vote. Moreover, this past election was important to me because it was the first election in which I myself could vote. As is the case with any first time, the first time sets the tone for the future. When I asked my audience if they had intentions of voting in the 2016 election, 90% of them said yes. Next, I will discuss the results and after effects of the election. On November 6th, at roughly 11:15 p.m., the state of Ohio was called for President Obama, which, consequently, projected him as the winner of the election, making him the 21st president to win re-election for a second term. While the race remained close in the beginning of the night, President Obama carried the majority of the states with the most electoral college votes, resulting in a landslide victory of 332 electoral college votes to Romney's 206. President Obama also carried the popular vote, beating Governor Romney by a margin of roughly 5 million votes. It is interesting to note that President Obama is the only president since Franklin Roosevelt to win re-election with unemployment numbers above 7%. Upon re-election, President Obama has reduced the employment rate only slightly to 7.7%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The jury is still out on what the remainder of his term has in store for the nation as a whole. As a result of this speech, you have become aware and more informed of a major current event in this country. I have given you a brief synopsis of this past election, explained the importance and significance of this particular election, and discussed the results and effects of the election. They say that with great power comes great responsibility, and nowhere is this sentiment more prominent than the presidential election.